Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on the Ubuntu channel. This is Let's Talk Politics on Ubuntu channel. We are live, and obviously, if you want to participate in this program, it's open to everybody who is joining us right now, and we would love to hear from you as well. Well, let's get into it. My name is Lawrence, hosting the program as usual, and I'm hosting Mukelabai joining us all the way from Kuviaro, wherever he is. Mukelabai, good evening, and thank you so much for being with us.
Good evening at Kuviaro.
Kuviaro, in the nations, in the countries, in the overseas, in the abroad.
No, I may be, we may be abroad, but our heart is back home. There's no place like home. No matter
Oh,
where we are going to be, home is where umukombo kovashika umukombo. So we are not far away. We are just nearby. It's just like a simple geographical position. I'm quite.
awesome.
Otherwise, good evening, viewers.
All righty. I'm thinking we still have Mr. Wiseman somewhere, but probably network challenges are delaying our progress here, but we are here anyway, and we hope Mr. Wiseman will join us any time from now. Now, remember, the views expressed on this program do not represent the views of the channel itself, but they are the views of the individuals that are actually giving them. In this case, obviously, the individual is Bob Kelabai, who is going to give us what he thinks, and he's going to offload his thoughts on what we are looking at. And we are looking at the increased electricity tariff. Was that prudent or it was a reckless move? And we are trying to digest into that. Omkelabai, Zambians on the 1st of May 2024, that is just last week, woke up to news that electricity tariffs have been hiked. And this has happened amidst the I don't even know what to call it, but the load management or load shedding, whichever way you want to call it, and going on full throttle. But the tariffs for these particular commodities have been increased. Now, Onkelabai, first and foremost, I think in the background before the program even started, we were looking at the proposal for increase in tariffs that was passed sometime last year, and members of the public were communicated to. So, Onkelabai, what exactly do you think should have been done in this case when there is load shedding and tariffs needed to be increased? Did it have to go on like that?
Well, thank you so much, Rollins. What we have to look at is the initial agreement or proposal that was agreed upon with where the Zambia electricity, the ZESCO, had put up a proposal that they want to be increasing their tariffs in the next 5 years. We know that agreement was there, and the ERB actually had agreed to that effect, and they started their increment, increasing electricity tariffs in last year upon uh, uh, approving that request that was or demand that was made by ZESCO. They agreed that they're going to do it in the next. It will be done yearly, but for the next 5 years up to 2027. Now, that was agreed upon, and that does not mean in that agreement they did not stipulate whether when there is load shedding or there is no load shedding, then that agreement won't apply or will apply just because there's no. They they are looking at the costs. They are looking at what uh, uh, they're spending during the maintenance of the facilities. We are not, of course, happy that at the same time we have electricity problems where there's load shedding, and it is them actually that are going to suffer a loss by not supplying because they pay, um, they get money or they gain money from the services that is delivered. They supply power. And if there's no power that people are buying or are using, then it's them who are going to run at a loss, you know. So it is not okay for people to say this increment has come at the wrong it's reckless, like you put it. It's not reckless. They're just following what was agreed upon. But
Uh,
with
Mukelabai,
with
Mukelabai,
yes,
I think maybe I can come in on that. Or before I do that, let me welcome Mr. Wiseman. Mr. Wiseman, welcome to the program, and thank you so much for finding time to do with us.
Thank you, Comrade. Good evening to our viewers. Good evening to you as well.
Thank you. Mukelabai, the proposed agreement was not that it will be automatic increase every year. All the increases are actually subjected to energy regulation board approvals. Just like when everybody was expecting that electricity tariffs would be increased in March, ZESCO actually issued a statement saying that the tariffs have not been adjusted pending an ERB approval. And obviously the approval came in later on now. Uh, you have stated that it was not given any condition that if there is load shedding, then the increment will not happen. But uh, it's just an issue of being maybe being considerate, because already uh, the price of energy as at now is so high. Especially when even those running to gensets, the price of fuel is at an all-time high of 35 point something per liter, and it's like just to get your home power this time around, it's just getting too expensive. Mukelabai.
well, it's the demand. You know, there's too much. There's what's the population of Zambia today, and
We are looking
look
at
at the
we are,
capacity and look at the
go on.
capacity and look at the capacity of the machinery that we have, and how much power are they distributing or giving out. And on top of that, we have major places that requires electricity 24/7, the emergencies, the hospitals, probably, and also the mine, because once the mine uh, have that problem of load shedding, then our economy will simply go down in the doldrums. So the best thing is they have to ration whatever little power that we can manage, and despite the drought that we incurred, despite what we suffered, and despite the lower level of water at least they're trying to maintain until that day. It's just for a few months, when very soon we may start receiving water again from so the rain season will come soon. So the best thing we can do as a country is to simply uh, pray that we have enough water. But at the same time, we should diversify our sources. We should not just be dependent on hydro, hydropower. We should extend our demand. We should also source electricity from solar panels we can source electricity from, is it thermal? I don't know. The other, there are so many. I don't know. I even heard, I just hope that one day, as a country, when we have enough money, we have the capacity, we could also produce electricity using nuclear, uh, energy. So it's
But,
possible. We can diversify.
let me get to Mr. Wiseman. Mr. Wiseman, the the notice of this particular increase was kind of rushed. Uh, the the communication actually is dated 1st May, and the communication was effective immediately. Why was this communication made at least even a day before, so that the citizens could actually prepare? Because quite a number of people were shocked. They were buying their usual power on the first, and surprisingly they were getting less units than usual, and only for the communication to come out later that day. Why would ERB do this?
Thank you very much, comrade. I think for me, this is a very complicated issue because most of the time when we see things happening in that way, some of us spectators, we always put a belief to our leaders to say they know what they are doing. But when something like this happens, then as you are on the terraces trying to say we know they know what they are doing, our leaders, then you find one of the top board director being fired. Again, it gives you question mark to say, is it that we are all in darkness, including our leaders, or what? What has happened immediately after the increment of these tariffs? Immediately after the increment of petrol, the top leader has been fired. So I think for me, comrade, that news, it came in so many angles, and it's very difficult uh, to explain it because if that board were to be kept like the way it was, we can say no. I think there are plans which are coming on the way. But if that incident happened like that, where things has been increased, then the leading boss has been fired, then it is a red sign, a red indicator showing to us who are the spectators. So for me, humanity, that news came at a long time. Um Administratively, they know what they are doing because they are not disclosing to us the plans which are there. If you go into political way, I think when we were condemning whatever was happening previously, we are giving solutions to those problems. So when we are in power, like myself being a UPND member, I think we need to prove what we were telling the people. And most of the time, we were advising the previous government to say solar way is the best. So far, so good. I was expecting that those leaders who are in offices, they should take advantage of the solar system, which we have seen in Rwanda, where they use the roof to be the solar system to power most of the public institutions. But that has not been seen. I've not seen too much of solar in Zambia compared to the way we were planning when we were in opposition. So even that indication as well, it's a bad indication which is showing. So on the government side, administrative, we don't know what they are planning, what they are doing. On a political side as well, on that angle, we are a bit on a negative party. On the leadership side, we are confused because that has happened. One leader has been fired. Is it that the way we are blank, some of us, that's the way our political leaders are blank as well? They never knew what was happening, or there is something beyond which made that person to be fired. We don't know because all those answers has to be given to us by those people who have been entrusted. So for me, those are the few answers I can give in three occasions concerning the tariff increment and the energy rate as at now in Zambia.
Okay. Uh, I'll come back to you, Mr. Mukelabai. We are in a situation whereby it looks like the Energy Regulation Board itself is in the tatters, and I'm glad that Wiseman actually brought this out. Now, first and foremost, I think the news diggers mentioned sometime last week that it looks like within the ERB there was a split with some members of the board feeling that the board chairperson and the director general were actually pulling in opposite direction to the interests of the country and the ERB, and they had a vote, and the two have actually been are removed from office as things stand via a vote of no confidence. Now, uh, speculations have started coming out. First and foremost, some sections of the media reporting that actually a part of the members of the board felt that the increase in electricity tariffs was actually not prudent as things stand, and that is what prompted the removal of the board chairperson and there's the director general. Well, other reports are suggesting that actually the government was not aware that there was supposed to be an increase in electricity tariffs as things are now. Where does that leave? Where does that leave members of the public? Were they subjected to an a decision that was made by two individuals or something like that? Should members of the public feel comfortable with this particular energy regulation board?
Well, is that okay? This goes to show, if at all, the termination of the contract of the ERB board chairperson is connected to the increment of the tariffs without notification to the government. This goes to show that these government institutions are autonomous, unlike what we hear from people who are claiming that there's interference by the executive or the government in all these institutions, even though they pay allegiance to the executive, but they do things in their own private and professional capacity. And if at all the termination of the contract was as a result of not informing or getting the blessings from the head of state or the executive, then we are yet to hear what the government is going to say and the board itself over these adjustments. Are we going to hear a revocation of the the tariffs, or we are going to uh, continue with what was announced? Otherwise, it is true that the timing, like you have expressed, the timing was quite strange, and it happened so quick, and probably that's why uh, the government had to intervene to find out what was going on. And we don't know. We can just speculate. I hate speculating, but we are yet to get to know what really transpired, and we wait from the government spokesperson and probably the Minister of Energy to give us his position over this.
Oh, let me ask Mr. Wiseman. So some sections of government are claiming that actually they were not aware this tariff increase was going to be effective, and the two who have been sidelined decided on their own that the electricity tariff should go up. Mr. Wiseman, do you believe that could happen?
I think those sections of the government which are claiming they were not aware about this, I think if I were to be in the position of authority, those should be the first piece, the first group who are supposed to be fired before even the board director and the group, because the way I understand on my layman understanding of how government should run, government should be ahead of each and every institution. Moreover, it's the executive itself which come through a political party, which is answerable to the voters. So if I'm going to be told no, when you come into our operation as the minister, you are intervening, allow us to work on our own. Excuse me, that director will never respond to the voters. That director you will never hear a name of a director which will come on board to say this director failed. When everything go to sour, they are going to say the UPND government, President Hakainde Hichilema, they have failed. So for that, we should not lean too much to try to be angels. No. Even Jesus himself, when he came to this earth, he never controlled everyone. He managed the number which he could, then he left everything in our own hands to say, do it on your own. Salvation is on your own. So we are human beings as well. When we are trying to control things, we have to control things on those angles. As long as we are going to say no, as we want to be seen, not to be intervening, ZESCO, work on your own. Police, work on your own. The court, work on your own. At the end of the time, it is us, the people in government, the party in government, who will be questioned. What did you do? I will never say no. Director Mukelabai was the board director for ZESCO. So because us with our policies, we don't intervene. So please question Dr. Mukelabai, who was the director. No, it will be us. So for me, comrade, answering to that question, those section of the government who are saying they were not aware, the best thing is just to keep quiet, allow this air to pass, then control the damage, than coming on public and try to show as if when you're in that angle, then you are responding in an intelligent point of it. No, I think government should be ahead of each and every institution. When there is a judgment which is going to happen tomorrow in court, top government should be aware that the judgment will be like this. That is how governance should be learned, because they are the mother body. When there is a decision which police were going to make, they are going to remove all the roadblock like it happened last time where we just saw checkpoint disappear. Government should be aware, should not be caught unaware. That's how government should run. Then from there, we are going to say we are in the safe hands. So for me, those excuses are here or there. Let them just accept and work on that, and let the damage control be done at the later stage. Since they are claiming those two people, they are the people who are making those decisions. They make on their own, and those people, they did things according to how they feel things should be done. Thank you, comrade.
Okay, Mukelabai, on the same subject, others from the opposition especially are claiming that the two have just been removed on tribal ground. Looking at the names, we are looking at the board chairperson being Mr. Reynolds and the director general being Mr. Mukave. And the opposition are pushing the tribal card to say they're actually just looking at the name, and they want to replace this name with someone from the south or from the west. And now everybody is watching who's next coming.
Well, you're breaking here. You see, that's the unfortunate part with our opposition today, who were very petty all the time. They would rather go and flip instead of investigating and asking real questions and get answers. Instead, they would flip and play their own cards that is suiting their narratives. Unfortunately, that's quite sad with our opposition. That's why um, they've lost direction. Our opposition in Zambia have lost it. We see them uh, busy talking about things that they themselves did. And today they are the people who are busy championing, talking about it and say this is wrong. But that's not an issue. There's no tribalism here. If someone is incompetent and has done something that warrant a termination of a contract, then the president or anybody, the employer, should not start feeling shy to terminate somebody's contract just because he possesses the name. He's got the name that of Eastern or Northern or West. No. It's an individual that has erred, and every cases are must be taken in. I mean, is treated independently and with merit, and that's how it happened. So if they want to know the reasons to why, the question is the president under any legal obligation to give a reasons to terminate a contract of a board of director or anybody who he appointed? He's just exercising his right, just as the same exercise, the same employee could exercise their right to terminate the contract at any time without giving any reason. They can simply say, I quit, I've resigned. As long as you are giving enough, a reasonable notice to go, you know. But if you are summary, you are dismissed from work, and that is where now, and in the in the dismissal, then there's a reason that they give for that you have abrogated the law, then that reason will determine what type of dismissal have you been given. Is it if it borders on disciplinary ground, then they will give reasons where you are going to be heard. If it borders on medical, if it borders on just a mere termination where you don't need to give reasons, it is entirely up to the employer and the employees. It's a contractual thing. So the president has the right to terminate. So these people who are busy playing the tribal card, we always see them doing those things. We've seen them crying the loudest or coming up with all sort of accusation without any evidence whatsoever. They just yapping, make so much noise on social media everywhere just because their interest is to tarnish the image of the government and to put them look as though they are not doing their job. So we know, and Zambians know that when they hear an opposition talking, they are actually knowing that he or she will speak against the government, whatever decision they've made. We have never heard of an opposition, except for maybe few that are in support of the government's program. Our opposition in Zambia To them, everything that the government does is wrong. And now, especially those that have been that were in the power before, they are the ones now are trying to even show the expertise na experience yabo katwishoko yafuma. Suddenly they have now become more experienced when they failed themselves to do what they are demanding from the current government to do. So it's it's quite sad because we still remember it hasn't been long since they left office. It was just 3 years ago. These guys were in control. Their trucks are still fresh. Their print as their trucks are still seen. We still see their attributes. So we know. So for them to start claiming or championing that they are the masters today, suddenly they have now become the experts. They can advise, they wish to advise the current government how to run things. We have never seen any tangible solution that has been given by the opposition. Instead, the opposition is just busy attacking, character assassinating the government, calling them liars, calling them your failures. Failures to what? Failures to the things that they damaged, the things that they destroyed. So it is. It's so they're so hypocritical, very hypocritical.
Let us look at it from another angle. Probably for the Republican president, don't you think some of the things that he said, especially when he was in opposition, are the things that are coming back to bite him and haunt him, especially now in this technological age where the social media especially doesn't forget. And also, let's bear in mind that what is good for the goose must also be good for the gander. And if we can look at this particular scenario, we had load shedding back in 2019, and it was so massive, of course. And the current president was very much vocal concerning the same. First and foremost, at some point in 2019, the PF also decided to hike electricity tariffs amidst load shedding that was being experienced at that time. And the president is on hand, and I'm going to quote part of the things that he said. Unfortunately, our producer is having some internet challenges, and will not be able to bring some of these things on the screen. But maybe I can read out some pointers on things that he spoke about. He says the tariffs reflect the cost. If your costs are too high, you can increase the tariffs 20 times. You will never get the right tariff because your costs are too high. Mark that point. And he says, now, here is a difference of thinking between PUPND and PF. Here is what he thought. PF are saying, no, the tariffs are too low. Let's push them up. And I want to predict for you that they are going to increase electricity tariffs again. Kulibe Malaiti, at that point we had load shedding. He said, there is no electricity, okay? But they are increasing the tariffs, which is exactly what is happening now. Bear that in mind. And he also went on to say, where is the logic? So we want to ask the same question, what is the logic in what is happening now?
Yeah, that's why the person that announced is no more. Okay.
Yeah.
That's yes, the person that was in charge of the board because of the same probably because of the same reasons he gave, and because of not consulting or looking at the timing at the time, because I don't think the president himself has changed his views. I don't think he changed his views. I believe he still maintained. Even if you asked him today, he will still probably say the same thing, you know. And that's why you could hear that the people that were in charge of this institution are no more. Probably they are bringing in other, because even them, they are part of the country. They are Zambians. How could they do that? How could they even that is what you call probably sabotaging the government's effort at the time when people are complaining of economical situation, hardships. That's when you want to come up with your own, and because you have a contract, or you have an agreement, you had given you had promised the ZESCO that every year we are going to increase, and then there comes a catastrophe. We have drought, and we have load shedding because we don't have enough water. And then because you want to respect the contract, because contracts can also be it can also be stopped at any time, or you can go back on the drawing board and re-agree. You can reintroduce new conditions, especially when you are faced with some calamities. For example, if there was war, how was ARB going to increase tariffs when muchalo muri uluvuli? Or for example, we have national disaster like we have. How is that a logic? You know, so I understand the position of the government. Probably that could also have given the reasons to why the president decided either to retire the board chair and his vice, whatever, over this decision. It's like they don't live in the same country. Where have you been? Abantu balelila, they are complaining of high cost of living. And that's when you go in without even informing your boss, because you are mandated, because you have some contractual obligation that you need to fulfill. Then you go ahead. So timing, I think, is important. Our ARB board directors, I think they messed up a little bit, and that's why they are where they are. You know, we know that my appeal to those in government is that make decisions and that are based on the current situations that are taking place. Look around you. We know what precipitated to this crisis that we have in Zambia, the economical hardship that we have. We know where this is coming from. And I understand that it is not the current government's performance that has put this situation or the economical hardship to take place. No. 30 billion. Remember, we borrowed almost close to 30 billion US dollars. Where has that money taken us? How come 30 billion is borrowed and the new government comes in within 2 years? We don't see any development. We don't see any monies. If anything, we are now stuck. Where has the 30 billion gone? Where are these buildings, infrastructure they claim they built using the 30 billion? Do you know what 30 billion? Because we Zambians, we're underestimating in Congole, Shturelanda Pan Congole. That's a lot of money. Just 1 billion, $1 billion US dollars. That's a lot of money that can do a lot to a country. But then you go and borrow almost 30 billion. Where do you think that money, how do you think that money could have helped the people today? We were not going to suffer today if that money, we had them that money in reserve or was invested in a proper infrastructure and mines and other sectors, solar or other things. We were not going to be talking about load shedding. We're not going to be talking about meal prices, fuel prices, because we would have had the money to subsidize. And by PF bene, balista subsidize a fuel. But how do they explain the 800 million US dollars that this government is now about to pay to those people, the fuel supplier? In fuel subsidy. You see, when you look at all these small things together, it's not okay. And then here comes the director of energy regulatory, whatever, during this crisis. And then you come and increase the tariffs. Like we said earlier in our preamble, that it's them who are going to lose out, because where is the power? Because they receive money, they are paid money from the power they supply to the people. If they don't have power to give the people, then where are they going to get the money? Why increasing when you don't even supply people power? Almost the whole day, people have no power. So it is you who is at the loss, you, the people, the suppliers. At the same time, you who are, you at the same time, you are actually choking also the citizenry, those who you are to give the power in bits and pieces. So it's just sad that even the people that we think they are well educated and well established, well positioned in these big institutions, could go behind the government and stab it in the back like that. I find that to be so unfortunate and not patriotic.
Let me ask the same question to Mr. Wiseman, who seems to have a divergent view concerning this particular issue. Mr. Wiseman, you believe that probably the sources who are trying to distance themselves from government over the increased fuel tariffs must be fired, actually, because they're embarrassing government, as you put it. But now we look at what the president was saying concerning hiking electricity tariffs amidst load shedding. He found it very very disturbing. Now, where was the logic then? So we ask the same question: where is the logic now in increasing the price of electricity amidst this?
Okay. Thank you very much, comrades. Thank you very much, comrade. I think answering to the question you asked, comrade about what the so-called opposition are saying, that are getting tribe when they are trying to replace. I think the tragedy is that in Zambia we don't even have a credible opposition, those who can speak and we listen, because I think they are out of checks and balances. There is no any leader, so-called opposition, who has come on board and said, like the way Akande Hichilema was doing, when he see a problem, he will talk about a solution. But the current opposition, they are out of place. So they are even increasing to some of the decisions which our president is making, like because the person who has misbehaved is from Eastern Province, and I've got another person who is brilliant from Southern Province. Because people are going to talk about me appointing only from Southern Province is going to make again a wrong decision in trying to impress those so-called tribalists. For me, I think Mr. President should just be bold. If he has found that it's someone from Western Province who can fit that job, please give that person a job. If you can even give the entire system, you give them people from Southern Province, as long as they're the one who are fitting in those positions. Don't follow what this so-called opposition are talking about. Don't follow this what these tribalists are talking about, propagandists of Emmanuel Mamba talking about. Forget about them. Coming to your question, I think the problem which I have seen is that the president is working alone, comrade. The president is working alone and he has got no helpers. These people who surrounding the president, they are just spectators like ourselves who are waiting for what the president is going to say, and they are going to just to accept and push that thing to move. There is no people who are working with the president. Working with the president, trying to I advise the president, help the president in one angle is human. Is just a human being as well. In one way or another, is going to score. In one way or another, is going to lack something. So that's why we have got ministers. Comrade, if you talk about giving ministers positions and helping the president, you tell me which impact as the minister of technology has done so far ever since it was created. Nothing. So far, nothing. So why keeping that ministerial position or with the same minister? Fire him, replace him with someone who's going to come up with the idea of when there is load shedding.
Mr. Wiseman, because the person who has the powers to fire and to hire is the president. He has not made any reshuffles from 2021, and yet everybody else can point at a lot of ministers who are not working. So who do you blame for that, the minister or the appointing authority?
That's what I'm saying. The problem which is here is that one thing which killed PF had 90% of praise singers. Even where they see there's a long things happening, or what they'll do is everything is okay. As a result, former president was feeling everything is okay. We, the UPND, should not fall in that trap. Where we see something is going wrong, we have to help the president to say, Mr. President, there is a red sign. Something has to be done. There we never had rain. That's a disaster which happened in our country. Ministry of Technology, that's why it's called technology. Something has to be done on that problem. Nothing. We have got issue of load shedding. Load shedding started from time immemorial. We have been experiencing load shedding. There is this ministry which has been created. What is it which it is contributing to the nation? Nothing. So for me, such kind of groupings which are not helping the president should be distanced, so that we work with people who are going to bring ideas to the president so that things can move. Otherwise, talking about what the president was promising, the president had brilliant ideas when we were in opposition, and some of them, about 50% of those ideas, he has implemented them. They are actually working. But there is again the system called government. When you go in government, there are things which you are going to find which you never saw when you were in opposition. That's where now those ministers and the other stakeholders come in to say, okay, when we were in opposition, we saw as if things can be like this. Now we are controlling. It's just like a football match, comrade. When your friend is playing, you are watching, you are going to have all the direction of how the ball should be kicked. Go in the field. That's where now your teammates are coming in to help you how to learn with that ball. You cannot learn with the ball from corner to corner, from goal to goal, because you are Cristiano Ronaldo or whoever. No, you need to work with your teammate, for you to score a goal. That's how government learn. So President Hakainde Hichilema has got brilliant ideas. He has done them, and he has continued doing those ideas. What is this other players doing? What are they bringing on the table to help our president achieve? So for me,
So
we the government, we are in between from where the issue is coming from. We are in between to the end user, because the system, it is us, the government, to control it. The end user, who are the people, it is us, the government, to respond. So as a result, we have to balance. If the system needs the tariff to be increased, how will be the end user receive that? Comrade Mukelabai said a very good point where he said it was a proposal. How can a proposal be implemented without further consultation? Thank you, comrade.
okay, Mukelabai, if the people who implemented this have been removed, and probably the government is shielding itself that they are not part of the decision that was made. So we know the president has the powers to order a reversal. If we don't see that happening, since the players who implemented this are no longer there, should we then conclude that actually the government was aware and is part of this decision?
Could you kindly repeat your last part?
If the reversal doesn't happen, can we therefore conclude that the government was aware of this decision and is part of the decision?
The government is aware of this decision in a sense that, no, I mean, the government probably is aware of the agreement that was made between the ARB and the proposal that was given to the ARB by ZESCO. I believe the government is aware of that. And had the environment if the environment was conducive enough for energy regulating board to increase, they could have done it without any problem. But the caveat here is we have a situation in the country. Right now we have load shedding as a crisis. At the same time, we have fuel increments, hike in fuel prices. That's also a crisis. Nobody likes when things are getting up and expensive, when our economy is still trying to recover. We are trying to recover from what our brothers destroyed. How do we recover when our people are still complaining of the hardship, the high cost of living? Let the high cost of living affect us because we are paying back the debts, and because we are trying to save a little bit of money to put our our children back into school, to pay our retirees, to pay our civil service, because the government has to run. The government has to run. But now coming to the issue of what our brother was saying here, Wiseman, of that the president is working alone. I think I don't know. I'm just speculating as well that people probably are scared to act. Like if they act without the consent of the government, they'll end up being fired like the L, like the AR, the ARB board chairperson, and that's why they are quiet. Unfortunately, that's how that's what happens when people
are merely after jobs, opportunities, instead of doing what they are there for. All they want is status and salary to be on the payroll and being told what to do and paste and copy at Varikunjito. Paste and copy. You are failing to come up with your own ideas where you can go, because for you, the ministers that are able to sit in that cabinet, face the president, there you are immune, you are protected. If at all you have something to say to the president right there and there. But because we are typical Zambian and in our leaders, maybe it's also instilling fear in his subordinates. You know, that's what happens when you start giving people jobs on favors. People forget what they are there for. Instead of doing their job, they are busy following your boots. Instead of coming up with their own suggestions, they are busy worshiping you, bootlicking. They've forgotten about, we have professionals, people like Wostumbe, Sokota. Look at this man, the way he's working. I believe Hakainde Ichilema has more trust and has more respect for that man, because I believe he's doing things because he's using his professionalism. I have seen that there are few ministers that are really, really trying their best. But the rest, they have to be told what to do. Permanent secretaries, they're all quiet. Ambassadors, they're all quiet. Where are the contracts? Where are the investors? What are you doing out there? Apart from receiving those 10 pin US dollars, what are you doing? Every month is coming, we have a huge, huge pay bill every month to pay all these civil servants, those in the diaspora, foreign services, and those in government. What is it that you are doing for you to receive a salary? What have you done in that month? Bambishire isafie pia now mwikala you tambala le nifie. And the person who is busy doing the donkey work is one individual. But I sometimes also look at our president. I also blame him partially to say he is too, probably is trying to micromanage this. We don't want you to micromanage your ministers. Let them do their job. Get off their back so that they can do their job. Trust them. They mess up, you fire them. That's the best thing you can do. And you speak as a team. Let them work together as a team. The issue ya kuta micromanage, ya kuta praise umuntu kwati ni lesa, that's not okay. That's not okay. At the end of the day, it is the people that are going to suffer. Like Wiseman said, this should have been dictated earlier. This should have been known. The issue of wanting to increase ZESCO tariffs, where are the permanent secretaries, the directors? Where all those in the Ministry of Energy? Where are you? You are getting salaries. You are getting huge chunks of money, allowances. And then you come up with such kind of reasoning until someone is fired, just that. It has to be a chain of discipline for the director to be fired. All these other chaps that are down there should also suffer the consequences. Suspended force because they're not doing anything. You don't need to wait. Speak up. If something is wrong, detect. That's why this government has had difficulties as well to perform, because you allow the wrong chaps in strategic positions for too long when doing nothing. They're doing nothing. They're just receiving huge chunks of salaries every month and allowances. From which money? The money that people are paying. The money from the mini meal. The money from the fuel. Why are we increasing all this? Because we are trying to service your jobs, to service you as well, while running the government work. But tapali village tika. So it is somehow disappointing. But we know you guys, you're trying to work. But there's someone somewhere who is trying to put a stop order. It's like you're tired. Come out in the papers, come out on your page as ministries. Print out. Let us hear about the things that you're doing. Even predictions of this weather forecasting, whatever, this could have been predicted a long time ago by your ministry, by the people down there. People in the farm, I'm agriculturists now, I'm agriculture officers. They know very well. They have much information better than you sitting in the offices on what is happening about the climate change. We even have a ministry relating to climate-related issues. What is it doing? So we want to see teamwork. Teamwork. Church. Teamwork. My brother, I would love to see you participating with everyone, not you micromanaging, that everyone answers, even the office orderly answers to you. Such kind of structure will destroy the nation. We don't want to see an office orderly, the driver, or everyone is reporting to the president. Meanwhile, you are paying the executive, you are paying these people in the middle here who are supposed to supervise the drivers, who are supposed to supervise everyone down there. But it has to take you from State House. What does that entail? So stop instilling fear in our brothers and sisters out there. And especially this fear of I'll fire you. This has been a syndrome in Zambia, that bosses are treated as their goddess. No, we need to talk. I would love myself to have a chat with you, Mr. President. Talk personal to personal, so we can talk about these things, because I have nothing to fear, by the way. You are a brother to me. You're a human being. Let's hear, what are the challenges? You also are burning out. You're human. You're burning out, my brother. Things can be tough. You need maybe a timeout. The economy is really not okay right now. Things are not okay. And we know it's not your fault. We know it's not your fault, but you are trying. You're trying your best.
We seem to be running out of time at this point in time. I'll just ask both of you, starting with Mr. Wiseman, to give your concluding remarks and give us what you feel. Was this increment prudent, or probably it was reckless, as you conclude?
I think mine, it's under political lenses. This increment was reckless. There is nothing to sugarcoat or nothing to do what. The increment of the tariffs was reckless, in the sense that this now is coming hand in hand with my concluding remarks. The example which we are showing us as UPND, under my own understanding, it is better you are not collapsed but you underperform, you are safe under UPND. When you perform well and involved in corruption, you are fired. But for me, I would prefer someone be corrupt and performed according to expectation of the people. I can assure you, the way this MP Stanley Kakuwa were performing under that Ministry of Foreign Affairs, if a single transaction can make him not to be a minister, if we were to rate 90% of our ministers, I'm sure only the one can remain among all. So for me, let this other minister emulate the way Elvis in Kandu is working. Let these other ministers help the president to run this country, and let the political party as well help the executive to understand that in 2026 it is not director of ZESCO or director of LATSA, police, or other institutions which are going to be answerable to people. It is us, the UPND members, with our political party, who are going to be answerable to people as we will be seeking for a second term. So for me, it's high time we go on the ground and do the right thing. It's better we are injured, we feed our children, comrades. Some of our children, the food they eat, they don't even know how we manage to get that food on their table. Some were being slapped day in, day night for them to eat. Or what they know is they have eaten. Let the ministers as well sleep outside in cold as long as Zambians have eaten. On the international market, electricity has been increased. Let these ministers face the consequences and give Zambian people cheap electricity, because that's why you are leaders. Thank you, comrade. Thank you, Mukelabai.
All right, and let me ask Mukelabai to do the same. Please go ahead.
Well, thank you so much. Bazambia, ifintu natumfwa tafiti bwino ku Zambia, ifintu nafidula, and we know the reasons why. Tekutirati government na ifirwa, and now ifirwa kuchita deliver my promises, vale chita promise when vale mu opposition, awe mwibabe pesha mkwai, indalama ishali muchalo, shali shingi, ilintu balungu bali mu government, indalama ishayingile, shali shingi, lundalama lwali ulwingi. If we are to calculate, you find that it was over almost 30 billion US dollars. Wise man, could you kindly switch off your mic? Thank you. Sorry about that. Almost 30 billion amount of money that came into our country, and all that money has just gone just like that. And from 30 billion, Loleshen Utovachita to my project Balandet Barelang, Ka airport yapo, Ka nani yapo, and all those Tumashinga Vale Posa 300, 200 million. Now, you look at 30 billion, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And that's why you see that most of them, they came out of the government rich, very rich. Naba nababo kumo, very rich. Naba kashbabo kumo, very rich. It's a pity that this government took time in recovering and arresting, because we know that even thieves do protect themselves. They will always try to protect themselves and bury evidence. So we know what has happened. You and me, we know. And the moment you see people trying to just not kuliofa balefisa, pantunga onfa umuntu alepepa sana apepa sana suddenly umuntu aleshana walelisha wale party, it was party after party suddenly mwambo kumona umuntu ku church lyonse is either nalwala nakwata problem has it as a terminal disease, terminal disease, whatever you call it, or there's something that is avoiding here mchifungo, or kulefa walefisa olona kwata mafia aya kalamba sana pangani. So mwebakala chalo, let us observe, let us know when people have done something and they are the number one vocal telling us nafirovana insala eba alete ensala abantu aba impia shirashini osho basenda osho bafisa ilya 30 billion yoko yaya katuishina lero tatuishive, and that is the one that is choking us today. We told you ine panopene ndinalimye bamwebekala chalo ishindalame baleocha ishindalama baleshita. This money will come and haunt us, and this is what is happening today. Ama increment all over. How do you expect the monies that they borrowed? How do you expect the money to be paid? And who do you think is going to pay that money? It's you and me, the Zambian people. Through because there's no way things will go down if we have no production. Amatava boma yaleshti sharia balelipira ama farmers kuti ati bakayelima futi baye balete amatava yengi. Unfortunately kwaisa drought. So there are a lot of challenges that happen. So let us try to support this government and see how they are going to pull through. Definitely they will pull through with these programs that you have seen. Naba miswila ama mine imigodi esho bayisele muri balungu nashisuka lelo nashisuka ayo ama 24 million muleyo mfwa bayamba okubwesha ama 300 million muleyo mfwa chamba okubwela. This is the time we need to work together as a nation. Be patriotic. Never PF kumo. We still love you. By opposition, we still love you. We need you to put this government on their toes. Proper checks and balances. Not utuma insele, defamatory, Ask them questions. This government does answer. Nabakwatama answers for you. Let us respect this government and see where they're going to take us. Come 2026, we will go on the ballot paper there, on the ballot box, and vote for this very government because it has given us hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Ngabafirwa, we'll put them aside.
I'll have to cut you short, unfortunately. As we wind up today's edition of Let's Talk Politics, thank you so much to Mr. Mukelabai and Mr. Wiseman, who made the time to be with us this night, and hopefully you were able to watch us even when, if you are in the dark with this load shedding, and those with electricity. Until next week, thank you so much for joining us. It's good night from everybody in the studio, including those in the controls from us. Good night.